Jen is a teacher. As you may have heard, she's also a correspondent for the Today Show, thus continuing the Bush family tradition of warm relations with the press.
Wow, that was former President George W. Bush speaking today at SMU, Southern Methodist, a great school, by the way, where his presidential library, the Bush Institute, will be housed. It was his first open event, open to the press since leaving the presidency. Now it's time for the Politics Fix. Joining me now is Salon's Joan Walsh and the National Review's DeRoy Murdoch. DeRoy, just to rip the scab off the usual fights around here, I've always said that George W. Bush speaks English as if it were his second language, and that Al Gore speaks English as if it were our second language. I think people like Bush more on that first outing for that reason. Your thoughts? There he is again, not clearly at ease with the language, but looking healthy. And why is he being so charming and nice compared to his VP, who does come off as Darth Vader these days, more so than usual?
Maybe it's a good cop, bad cop routine, something like this. The former president looks tan and rested and good for him as far as that goes. I do think, though, that his presidential library is going to be a museum of cautionary tales and perhaps something very instructive for future Republican nominees, Republican presidents, as to how not to govern as president. I give him a lot of credit for the fact we've not been attacked since 9/11 and tax cuts and liberation of Iraq and Afghanistan, or at least the efforts in that direction. But as far as the spending, new programs, expansion of government, a spending curve that outpaced that of Lyndon Baines Johnson, I think this museum will be an example of what not to do if you're a Republican president.
So you think there'll be a rising debt room somewhere in that library where it just shows the debt doubling during his presidency? By the way, if you're going to give him credit for
the red ink, something like that.
DeRoy, with all respect, if you think he deserves credit for us not getting hit since 9/11, logically you have to give him credit for us getting hit on 9/11. That was also on his watch.
Well, it was on his watch.
And he did get a full warning. He got a full warning. Al-Qaeda to attack within the United States a month before it happened. Well, anyway, let's not go over
something would happen. We didn't know exactly when, unfortunately.
Well, Al-Qaeda would attack within the United States. Anyway, Joe Walsh, what do you make of the return of the kid? He looks healthy. He's back. He looks like all ex-presidents, they regain 4 to 8 years immediately on leaving the office, it seems. I remember Eisenhower as a kid looking like he was going to live 20 more years after he got out of the White House.
Right. Well, he looks better. He sounds the same. And I have to disagree with DeRoy. It would have been nice to hear more Republican voices about the huge deficit when he was president, and also the sea of red ink was created by the tax cuts that Republicans champion, and 2 wars that we really couldn't afford. But that's a whole other story. Let's be nice. Let's be nice today.
Actually, it was from the spending curve, not the taxes. But anyway.
Let's be nice. Let's talk about one thing he's doing well, and that is handling his post-presidency better than Dick Cheney is handling his post-vice presidency. This is a president who's doing what presidents do. It's very traditional to stay quiet and be respectful, and that's what he's doing.
For the defense, DeRoy, you're on the conservative side of things, I believe it's fair to say. Do you think the next Republican nominee for president will be more like Cheney or more like Bush?
Well, I think there's one thing I've respected and admired about Vice President Cheney since he's been ex-vice president, and that is that he has been defending the former administration on the war on terror, on Guantanamo, and things like this. I wish he, and more so his boss, had been more forthcoming and more outspoken about defending themselves, explaining what they're doing. I think a big part of the frustration of those of us on the right in the Republican Party is that for so much the 8 years of the Bush-Cheney administration, they didn't really explain what was going on. They didn't communicate. It wasn't clear what they were doing in so many areas.
Many of those journalists who were columnists who were supported begged
them to defend themselves.
And they wouldn't. He
just got a lot of garble, and that was a very, very frustrating
thing. Guess what, DeRoy? We got the point.
Yeah.
We know what they were doing.